darling.
Part of the first conversation with Bradley was like, if we're going to do this, you've got to go all in. And I said, obviously, yes. But in my head, I was thinking, well, not all in, but okay.
Yeah, there is a saying in Chile about never standing under a bird that's full of shit. And I've just been living under that fucking bird for so long. It's actually become comedic.
But also I was thinking, I'm going to have to go all in, otherwise it's just never going to work. But I was feeling really anxious about that until we got into the proper prep. And then it was like the most fun acting I've ever had.
Because Carey was there, she was so inhabiting Felicia, she just took it to another level.
There's this amazing musicality of the way that they tell anecdotes and stories about their life together, and they finish each other's sentences. It's like a duet.
You're letting your sadness
get the stop it.
Let me at least finish.
Let me
finish what I'm going to say.
I loved overlapping dialogue, so Josh Singer and I were able to write scenes where we could have that melody be played between the two of them.
You get a real insight into what was going on in the inner lives of these folks.
And I was the one who was a fool waiting outside the fucking hospital for you like an idiot in my truth.
Your truth is a fucking lie. It sucks up all the energy in every room and gives the rest of us zero opportunity to live or even breathe as our true selves. Your truth makes you brave and strong and saps the rest of us of any kind of bravery or strength.
Seeing this pioneer through that lens felt like a really interesting way to approach the subject matter.
It's so fucking draining to love and accept someone who doesn't love and accept themselves. And that's the only truth I know about you.
And that was the beginning for me where I realized this is a story I want to tell.
If you're not careful, you're going to die a lonely old queen.
I thought if I could just make a movie about marriage, these two, which I find fascinating that the audience can relate to, that coupled with the nuclear power of his music, that's when it came together for me as a filmmaker.
When you're talking about a film that centers around music, it's important to capture that feeling, and Bradley's vision from the beginning was always to get it live. If it's on camera, he wants to record it live, and so the challenge is how do you do that? So for Ely Cathedral, we had to really saturate all the instruments with as many microphones as you can, and then post-production can do their magic. They can clean it up, they can isolate certain tracks and really make it all make sense.
And that scene I was so worried about because we did do it live. That was the London Symphony Orchestra. It was recorded live. I had to conduct them. And I spent 6 years learning how to conduct 6 minutes and 21 seconds of music.
Bradley, when he told me he wanted to conduct this, I understood completely. But he prepared, not for weeks, months, he prepared for years for that moment. Mahler's Second Symphony is the most rewarding piece for a conductor, and also one of the most difficult, because there's so many people. You get 100-piece chorus, more than 100 musicians playing, various instruments, an organ somewhere. It's very complex.
We had a full Dolby Atmos rig, we had a quadraphonic microphone rig, we had all sorts of different specialty fun toys that we could play with. So that was a process of a lot of planning, a lot of discussions, and on the day, everything came together and you get to hear the result.
It turned into one shot, which it always should have been.
I had like 3 setups, a huge cable cam that we spent like a year preparing. I thought, well, if I mess it up, I could cut around it. I woke up the next morning and I said, I can't do that. And there was a techno crane sitting outside and we wheeled it into the cathedral.
And we did it again, and that's one take, and we got it. The Tipitus, the drummer, came running down. I just want to let you know, you really conducted us just then. And everything was shit yesterday. You can't use any of yesterday, but today, just then, you conducted us just then.
Shooting in Ely Cathedral was like nothing I could ever imagine. You got all those people in the room. You got the LSO. You got the chorus. You had all the people sitting in the audience. Our entire crew got there, and it was just magic.
The
sound mix on this movie has a rhythm to it, just like the music has a rhythm to it. And you don't notice it, but you hear it and you feel it.
We really wanted sound to be invisible and not getting in the way of the music, not getting in the way of the performances. You know, we were all just there to help Bradley with his vision. The performance itself was captured with so many microphones that it gave you the complete three-dimensional sense of that space and of the feeling of that music in that space. And Tom Ozanich did a wonderful job of combining all those mics, creating a sense of the music in a cathedral that would play as a cathedral in a movie theater or off your TV set.
There's this massive amount of people involved. And it's a delicate thing to make it so that you as the audience, you focus on those things, you know, strings and brass and percussion, etc. And you feel the believability of the space that you're in.
When I think about how much of a personal story it is and like how you embody Lenny from a personal standpoint, I look at that scene and I say, okay, it's a complete story. It's like a 5-tool athlete.
Bradley was calling me like 3 years before we started shooting as Lenny. That set such a high bar for what this needed to be.
I could feel his turn into Lenny during a makeup process. As soon as he went to change the costume and came out, it was just Lenny.
To get to play that part opposite someone who was just constantly alive, it was so remarkable.
Maestro is basically cut to the music. The music is sort of the core of the film. So everything was in service of honoring that music.
We conducted Mahler's Second Symphony in Ely Cathedral. Some of the musicians had played with Lenny. The harpist teacher was in that performance with the harp exactly where the harpist was. I mean, it just felt like hallowed ground.
Listening to that live and then watching that, talk about having one of the greatest front seats ever. It just sweeps you away.
I've never experienced anything like that in my life, nor do I ever think I will.
It's as if Lenny had just been there.